27 since their father regretted. After his first wife died in 1919, he married Elsie Martin in 1930, and after 7 miscarriages, Elsie gave birth to Father Ashton on the 23rd of May in 1937. So Carl lived with his parents in a Sydney City Council flat in Dowling Street in Woolloomooloo. He started his primary schooling at St Mary's Cathedral Primary School and went on to study at St Aloysius College for his high school years. It was there that during an annual retreat, a priest suggested to the boys that they at least think about the priesthood among the many other possibilities they might consider for their life's choice of work. This really made a serious impression on Carl, who did think about it, and when he graduated in 1955, he put aside a scholarship from Sydney University for a scientific degree, and he entered St Columba's Seminary at Springwood. And after some years there and at Manly, he was ordained by Cardinal Gilroy on the 21st of July 1962 at St Mary's Cathedral in Sydney. So his first, the now Father Carl Ashton's appointment, was at St Pius V Parish in Enmore from 1963 to 1966, and then for 3 further years at St Charles Borromeo in Ryde. He then served from 1969 to 1978 at the Other Sacred Heart in Darlinghurst, a tenure which was unusual at the time. And Father Ashton loved to tell the story of why he had been forgotten at Darlinghurst, which was supposed to have come from Father Bede Heather through Monsignor John Boyle, and his own words, what was purported to have happened. Someone in at the Cardinal's Chancery was using one of those newfangled photocopiers to copy a list of the young priests. He didn't know how to do it properly, and because my name starts with an A, he inadvertently cut my name off the top of the list in his copying. So the list of those young priests to move around the parishes lacked my name. And they didn't wake up to it till years later, and when they did, I was sent out here to Mount Druitt, where Father Heather was the parish priest, and that's why he had to put up with this for so many years. So you can blame him, I think he said. So when he was rediscovered, he was appointed to serve at Holy Family Parish next door at Mount Druitt, but the living quarters there were full, and so he stayed with Father Tim Crowley in this parish here. And the following year, Father Tim was appointed as parish priest at St Bernadette's in Layla Park, and his departure raised the serious question of whether the parish of South Mount Druitt should actually be closed. 3 priests were sent out to see whether the parish had a future, and again in Father Ashton's own words, 1 wouldn't come, 1 died rather than coming here, and the 3rd came for a day and left. So since I was here, they told me to check it out and see whether it should be closed down. I told them Minchinbury was about to be established and it would become too big for Mount Druitt Parish, since they would have the same postcode. So they said, well, you stay here as parish priest then, and I did. So he was appointed parish priest that same year. The parish choir was formed around that time, and in 1983, he supervised the construction and opening of the Sacred Heart Catholic Primary School. He also established the St Vincent de Paul group and the Legion of Mary Presidia early on to serve the spiritual and temporal needs of the local community. As Father mentioned in his homily, one of his great legacies is his support for those in need. His green box in the centre aisle of the church was at the heart of his call for generosity, supporting both projects local and abroad. And Father also talked about his practical support and encouragement of home ownership for families of locals and newly arrived immigrants, which was also legendary. So his personal generosity was also immense, and on his death, many people have come forward to share stories of how it assisted them personally to pay for family emergencies or tuition or further study and the like, and often with no call for reimbursement. So Father Ashton, the individual. So first and foremost, he was a dedicated priest whose sole aim was to get to heaven, to take others along with him, tourists and residents alike. He taught scripture for 40 years at Colleton Public School, Year 6 class always, and every sacramental class. And many of you here have been taught by him, and your children have been taught by him over those years. But also through his years as parish priest, he became well known for, let's say, a few eccentricities. So he hated waste, and he self-proclaimed, he said, "I never threw anything out." And to prove that, actually, I've come across some of his ordination cards from 1962, and I've got them available here today, so I'll put them by the doors, and please feel free to take one. He's kept them for all those years. So his house was littered with newspapers, particularly magazines, trivia sections of the Telegraph, the historical sections of the Telegraph, videos, CDs, countless books, paper towel rolls, food cartons, boxes, catalogues, and most visitors, including the bishop, never made it inside. They were entertained instead in the parish hall. He had quite particular eating habits. So steak and sausages had to be cooked until they could be knocked on wood. And a little bit of cake and donuts may accompany the icing at a pinch. If he ever had pasta, the Parmesan cheese was mounted like a mountain. And please correct me if I'm wrong after Mass, but I in 23 years, never saw him drink plain water. It was always lolly water cordial or Pepsi. And obviously double bag tea that needed to be superheated in the toilet. And he doesn't remember this, but the first time I ever met him, he was visiting my brother's house in 1991. And in those days, not every house had a microwave. And he asked if there was a microwave, and there wasn't. And he said, wait a minute. And he went out to his car and brought in a microwave. I'm pretty sure it was the Toshiba that he still has, that he bought in 1984. And one thing he did want me to do, which I will try and do, is write to Toshiba and say, you make good things because this one is still functioning. And despite his affection for sugar, he enjoyed excellent health until his latter years, and certainly that was due in part to his routine of running 10 kilometres every other day in the industrial section of Mount Druitt, up to his 83rd year. So ill health did trouble him in his final years, but despite this he continued to support new initiatives in the parish and beyond. When Fadi had a wonderful idea to start the Young Adults Faith Formation Group in 2020, he was very supportive of that, and that's run ever since. When the youth of the parish wanted to enter the lifted sports day, we dubbed ourselves, or they dubbed themselves, the Ashtons, which he was quite proud of. He gave them a special blessing, which was very warlike, before they went. And he was very surprised when they won it 2 years in a row. I remember coming back to the parish pastoral council meeting and we told them that we'd won. He said, well, the opposition playing in wheelchairs? That was him, so. But he was delighted by that. And we always said we would try and get a shirt with the Che Guevara kind of motif of his face on there, which we'll do one day. But in 2021, his voice began to fail. He made the difficult decision to retire, which he did on the 14th of November. And as many of you know, he purchased a unit just down in Durham Street, where he continued to participate in the Mass and events of the parish. And last year, he celebrated 60 years of selfless service to this community as a priest. And again, in his own words, reflecting on this dedication, he expressed very humbly, I've astounded myself. It's been such a long time, yet the purpose of my work has remained constant over those years, to bring the grace of God to souls and guide them towards spiritual salvation. That was my calling, and I hope I fulfilled it throughout my years of service. So he was diagnosed with bowel cancer in June of this year, and went in to have a bowel removed on the 6th of June, actually, the Feast of the Sacred Heart. And although initially he was recovering, he developed a leak in his bowel, and a week before he died, the 7th of July, he was told he only had 2 to 3 days to live. So thankfully the man in uniform came, and it was wonderful to see Father maintain his sense of humour. He said, I called you because you're wearing the right uniform, as Father said. And yeah, with some assistance, he undertook to contact some of the people whose path he'd crossed through his life, from classmates from his days at St. Aloysius to the young woman he baptised just before he retired from his role here as parish priest. And although very breathless by this time, he thanked many for favours and assistance, small and large, that they'd provided over the years, and others he asked to assist at his impending funeral, maintaining his sense of humour and charity to the end. And as a group of us that were privileged to sit with him at his bedside 24 hours each day for his final week until he died. And again, I do find some humour in this. I had never attended a Mass that Father started at 0:00, but at precisely 2 a.m, he passed away. The first time I've ever seen him do anything on the 8 o'clock, which is quite beautiful, I thought, at the end. And practical to the last, he'll be buried from Our Lady of the Rosary Parish, because it will be easier for those attending to find a seat than parking. So that was his wish. So to finish, I've been a parishioner here for more than 20 years, and I've had the privilege of caring for him in his latter days of ministry. It was a real honour to witness that depth of faith and his unwavering dedication to Christ. And it was beautiful to sit with him in those quiet moments when he was just reflecting on the years of service, and really reminded me of the profound impact that somebody can have, just one person that they can have on so many other people through a life dedicated to serving others. So his gentle spirit, I know, has left an indelible mark on my journey and on, I'm sure, all of your journeys. And I'll certainly forever be grateful for the privilege of caring for him. I know, his passing is a massive loss for us here as a parish, and his memory will be cherished, and his legacy will continue to inspire future generations. So God bless and veil.